We don't often see things like this in my neck of the woods. The forecast called for snow, but at our low altitude, snow usually means a dusting, half inch, maybe an inch, and every dozen years or so, a significant snowfall, significant being 3 or 4 inches. Today we had 7, and power failed before breakfast. Our Japanese maples were bowed but unbroken. I can't say the same for some of the other trees around the house. This small willow, growing in wet ground, was taking a rest on our new deck. We were tempted to open the door and let this bewildered bird come in. I crumbled a crust of bread and set it on the deck railing. We'd heard trees snapping during the night. I slipped on boots and a jacket and went outside to see what I could see. All I saw at first was 5 inches of wet snow and more coming down. Only a week or two ago, I cut down several trees next to where we parked the car that were leaning over it and I was afraid would fall on it. A straight one snapped halfway up and landed right across the hood. I stepped carefully, mindful these days of what a fall can mean for a person of my age. Several smaller trees or branches were down, all of them covered with sticky wet snow. That's where this one came from. Well, I hadn't expected this one to be a problem. Can't tell if there's any damage to the car right now. But I don't think so. I kept thinking that until I removed the trees and the snow. I headed out to the sawmill shed to get a chainsaw. Should have worn taller boots, I can tell that right now. Every few seconds, a tree would shed its accumulated snow. Yow! Lucky for me, I was wearing my broad-brimmed hat. Well, there's one thing I can do today, is saw logs. Chainsaws and the sawmill are about the only power tools I have that don't depend on electricity. While the ATV engine warmed up, I wandered around a little bit to see what there was to see. These trees are not used to heavy wet snow, or any snow for that matter. I drove on down to the road just to see how traction was. That tree on the right is the one that's leaning against the deck. This might be a big mistake. Well, my rose arbor's down, that tree's down, one behind us is broken. I'm going to cut the one off the car first. I wanted to get something waterproof to cover the ATV seat, which has been repaired with a pair of old blue jeans. A lightweight windbreaker will do just fine. I haven't used this chainsaw in a while. The largest pieces of this tree I'll cut up for bowl blanks for the lathe. The smaller stuff becomes firewood, and the really small stuff gets thrown over the bank to rot in the next 20 or 30 years. Instead of trashing this one, I take it down to the basement. It will end up on the lathe. No, I'm not going to throw this one. Or this one. It's time to check out the car. This dent in the hood is the only one I noticed at first. I thought I could pop it out from the underside with my fist. The overnight low was 33, and it didn't get below freezing all day, so snow slid right off the glass and metal. It'll be down to 20 tonight. I reach inside to pop the hood release. I couldn't lift the hood. I wondered if I was pulling in the right place. Then I wondered, did I pull the release hard enough? If at first you don't succeed, aha! Of course, the dent is over a doubled part of the hood, so there's no way I can get at it from below. I just heard a tree crack back there. Hard to operate this camera with gloves on. I was going to move the car over there. Safer place. But I think not. I think it's not going anywhere. And I am out of whiskey. There goes another tree back there somewhere. Well, what I think I'll do, yeah, it's not going anywhere. Gotta go cut some more trees. The shortest route between A and B is not always the shortest route. Coming through the roses is probably not the smartest thing I've done today. The heavy snow collapsed the rose arbor I'd built, so this was no longer an easy way to get to the deck. The Japanese maples were bowed to the ground. I was surprised that when I knocked the snow off, They jumped right back up to their normal shape. Not a single branch was broken. I just pitched all the branches over the side. I'll deal with them some other time. I have more things to do today. I didn't want to go back through the rosebush jungle. Sometimes the long way around is the short way. I enjoy turning wet Scowler's willow on the lathe, so everything I thought suitable for the lathe, I cut it into short lengths. Everything else, I cut it into firewood lengths. Okay, those are bowls. There's an inch of snow since we came out here. This is not going to melt anytime soon. As I shoveled this heavy, wet snow, I thought of all the reports you read in the newspaper of elderly men dropping dead of a heart attack with a snow shovel in their hands. I figure those guys are mostly desk jockeys, couch potatoes, people who don't get a lot of exercise. Even though I spent all day shoveling snow, cutting trees, moving things, digging cars out, to me it was pretty much a normal day's exercise. So far, so good. No, I'm not pitching the snow over the retaining wall. Some people think I'm tough, but I'm not that tough. The next thing on the to-do list is to move enough snow that I can get this car back towards where it was so I can get my truck out. As I mentioned before, I'm out of whiskey. This shovel brings back memories. It's 75 years old. My father shoveled snow with it in Washington, D.C., I think. I know for sure we shoveled coal into the furnace when we lived in North Carolina in 1947. It passed down to me when my father died. I think of him every time I use it. There are two reasons we have the wheel cover mounted as we do. It makes it easier to find in parking lots, but the opening in the cover is opposite the A in Honda. If you don't want it to fill up with rain, you have to turn it this way. Backing down was easy. Before I went far, I pulled forward again just to see if I could. I backed all the way down to the road and then backed up the road a few yards just to check traction. It was fine. We drove to the nearest town that had power for breakfast. Power was on when we got back here. It's warm. Upper 30s. Snow keeps falling off the trees. I'm going to cut these two down. That was the last of the tree cutting for the day. I was beginning to get a little tired. I'll let that one go for now. The end of the day is usually the most dangerous part. I keep that in mind as I climb down this bank. More trees down means more brush to throw over the bank and perhaps more wood to cut up into firewood. I don't see any more. I think I'm finally finished. Just a little bit more and I can call it a day. I drove the ATV and the trailer with the wood in it into the shed and didn't even unload it. I was all done for the day. Rescued these from under the snow.